Good evening, everyone. My name is Zon Eastis, and we'll call to order the regular meeting of the Guilford Select Board on May 13th, 2024. Welcome everyone who's online. I need to see, yeah, we're good. I need to see first and last names, and then we'll move right on to, and welcome to everyone here in the room as well, of course. We'll move right on to the rules of procedure.
All right. The Select Board is required by law conducts meetings in accordance with Vermont Open Meeting Law 1 VSA 310 to 314, except as provided in Section 313 of that title. At these meetings, the public must be afforded a reasonable opportunity to give its opinion on matters considered by the Select Board, so long as order is maintained. Such public comment is subject to the reasonable rules established by the Chair of the Select Board under 1 VSA 312H. While the law clearly establishes the right of public participation, that right is not without its limits. The statute reads, "At an open meeting, the public shall be given a reasonable opportunity to express its opinion on matters considered by the public body during the meeting, as long as order is maintained. Public comment shall be subject to reasonable rules established by the chairperson." The Vermont Secretary of State words it this way: "The public comment period is not a free-for-all. The board chair may establish reasonable rules to maintain order, and reasonable limitations on the amount of time for each speaker are not unusual or improper." So basically, these statutes are there to set a constructive and civil process. Let's have a good meeting, people.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chip.
Thank you, Chip. All right, checking to see there are no changes to the agenda that I'm aware of, or to the order. So we'll move right ahead to community comments. That would be Miranda.
Oh, that's right, community comments before approval of the minutes. Okay, I think we have two community comments today. And first, we'll hear from Nancy Detra. Nancy?
Oh, do I have to? I have to.
Oh, hang on.
Sorry,
You know what?
Nancy. I'm getting the swing of it.
Anne, is your hand up because you need to leave?
No, my hand is up for a community comment.
Okay,
Yeah,
yes,
okay, you're
We'll get
next
your
then.
second. Okay.
Okay, hello. I'm wanting to announce that the window dressers program, which a lot of you are familiar with, but I'll briefly describe what that project is. Anyway, we're beginning to measure windows for people who want to get interior insulating window inserts. These go in with, you don't need a ladder unless you have a house like some people do with very high windows. They're insulating so they keep the heat in your house and save fuel. Anyway, we measure your windows, whichever windows you want to put an insert into in the winter, so that they're custom made and fit good and snug, so you don't get any drafts. And so far, and then the work is done by volunteers. So that includes the people who order the window inserts. They're expected to come and work for a shift or two, so that we can do this as inexpensively as possible, and that way we can share that low cost with you all. We do give away free inserts to people who just can't at this time budget them in. Anyway, all the jobs are simple, can be done by people who don't have carpentry skills. They all get taught, so everyone's sort of on an even plane, and we have a lot of fun doing it. So, and lunch is served. Everybody gets to eat lunch together, whether you're working a morning shift or an afternoon shift. So anyway, we have already 33 orders, which is really a total build. We call the workshop a build, but we can take more. So, but 33 is as many as we had last year. So if you want to get your windows measured, you need to go to windowdressers.org and sign up where it says order inserts. But the program is northern New England wide, but what we're doing in the Brattleboro area, in Guilford and Brattleboro and surrounding towns, is all local. So if you have questions about the program, you can give me a call at 802-254-4762. And we'd love to have you all. We want to have everybody have snug windows and use less fuel. That's part of the energy program in the town plan, is to reduce the use of fossil fuels. So, okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Nancy.
Thanks so much, Nancy. It's a great program. Okay, over to you, Anne.
Thank you. This is just, I can't stay for the whole meeting, and I just wanted to express these thoughts to the select board. I want to just really tell you a simple message, which is that I thank you. I thank you for serving the town and giving up your time, considering carefully many issues that cross your desks, and always having the best interests of the town in your hearts. I may not always agree with your conclusions and decisions, but I always appreciate your efforts to come out and find the best outcome. I think you need to hear these words and know that there are many, many people in Guilford who share these sentiments. You get a different message at the meetings, delivered quite different. From my early days in town, I always appreciated those citizens who kept a watchful eye on the work of the board, especially the budget. I remember very fondly Ginny Fitch questioning line items with great specificity. But that's not what's happening at board meetings now. What is happening at board meetings now are attacks on your integrity and your motives. I watch in disbelief as you are called liars, interrupted, ridiculed, accused of all manner of things, and of course, repeatedly sued. You are being prevented from focusing on the work for which you were elected. And this creates a phenomenal waste of time. The gotcha politics that are going on are disturbing and disheartening. That you five stepped forward to serve this town in this environment is commendable. I don't know many who could stand to do this. I don't know if the end game is to discourage people from serving. Who would want to put themselves in the position you are in? It's really hard to watch, and I can't imagine being the target of these continual assaults. I have heard from people who express their regret that there isn't the good old give and take and open discussion that we used to have in select board meetings. Surely they have got to understand why these strict rules are being imposed. I applaud those who raise questions and want clarification, but that's very different from the attacks that are going on now. Unfortunately, attacks by a few are creating necessity for strict rules for all. I was so deeply moved by Eric Morse's comments last week at the special meeting, invoking the name of his remarkable daughter, Rosetta, and pleading with people for a kinder, more collaborative approach in honor of her life's work. Whether this can happen remains to be seen. Until that time, please know that there are many, many people in town who support you. And again, thank you for your service to our town.
Thank you, Anne. So that concludes the community comments that we know about.
Thank you, Anne.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Miranda. We'll move ahead then to approval of the minutes. We have minutes from the meeting of April the 22nd, a regular meeting. I'd entertain a motion to accept those minutes.
So moved.
Thank you, Michael. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Chip. All right. Is there any discussion about those minutes we need to have? All right. Since we're in hybrid form, we'll have to call on each of us individually. So Tara, willing? Oops.
Oh my God.
Uh-oh.
What? Yeah, not now.
Take your time.
Okay, try it again. All right, Tara, one more time.
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Chip, Michael,
Aye.
Veranda,
Aye.
and Zan says aye. Wow, all sorts of new forms of interruption. Okay, okay, so those minutes are approved. And then we'll move right on to the warrants.
Okay, I'm going to do the warrants
Okay.
in honor of, well, because of Tara's migraine.
All right.
Okay, I'd like to move that we pay the following warrants. Payroll week 4, 28-24 for the sum of $7,283.10. Payroll week 5, 05-24 for the sum of $7,154.39. Payroll week 5, 12-24 for the sum of $7,682.91. Expense warrant number 2420 for the sum of $32,230.22. Expense warrant number 2420F for the sum of $182.50. Expense warrant number 2420V for the sum of $1,122.34 for a total of $55,655.46.
All right, I will second that. Thank
Okay.
you, Brenda. Is there any
Yeah, I
information
mean,
else?
there's some general, or specific information. This week's invoices of interest include routine highway equipment maintenance and repair, diesel and gravel. And for those who look at the invoice edit list, there's a double payment for Comcast, but that's because March's check to Comcast got lost in the mail. And so Ellie canceled it and issued a replacement. Hurrah for Ellie for that, that dedication. Okay, there was $4,000 payment to the library, but that's a mere pass-through payment for the nonprofit Vermont Humanities Grant for summer programming. And there's no match required. And so a grant like that requires a fiscal agent, and the library is a town entity. So that's why that came through. Also, there was a payment to SEVEDS, and that was left over from the last fiscal year. And let's see, $700 for expert lawn care, which means spring cleanup, mowing for the library, historical society, museum, and the playscape. And so we're all very happy that it's spring and we have lawn care service. So that's the entertainment about the warrants.
Thank you kindly. All right, shall we approve these warrants? Tara?
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Jeff? Michael?
Aye.
And Miranda?
Aye.
Azan says aye. Thanks very much, folks. We'll get, those are taken care of then. All right, so then we'll move right on to updates and reports from our incredible staff. We'll talk first with Erica as town administrator. Are you ready to do that?
Sure.
Can you be?
Yes, I can. Okay, so it's been a few weeks since we had a select board meeting. Actually, we had one last week, didn't we? So after the previous regular meeting, the next weekend, I think, was that electrical storm. And our power went out here in the town office.
Wow.
And when we appeared on Monday morning, all the computers and the servers were on the fritz and had gone out, and we had a battery backup that just is still dead. So I spent with Ellie an hour and a half or so that morning changing battery backups around, and we ordered a couple of new batteries, and we're all up and running in a matter of a week or so. I mean, everything got fixed that morning, but now everything is replaced. I'm robbed from one computer to fix the server, which is really important because our phones run on it and the internet in the office. So I've been working on, I think we're pretty much all set with the renaming of South Stony Hill Road to Marion Road. That follow-up involves letting the residents know, in this case, just the one resident and the Viking Village, know that the name has changed. I contacted the US Postal Service and our E911 representative, who is very helpful, and we'll get all that information into the 911 database. I helped Ellie with the March reconciliation, soon to be doing April's. I helped the library hiring committee, the library trustees hiring committee with their hiring process for their new director. And I can't remember if I mentioned this already, but if you all haven't seen the planet markers along Guilford Center Road, it's really cool, and they're in their proper places according to.
And Neptune's way out
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Pluto.
With the library
And
as
Pluto's
the
at the
sun.
fire station, so
Oh, yeah,
they
no, it's
figured
cool.
out the
And
right
Pluto,
increments.
I'm sorry, I'm speaking out of order.
No, it's okay. Yes,
Pluto didn't get Plutoed.
It
Right, Pluto still exists.
retained its place of honor. I think I said this last meeting, but it's worth repeating. Our ARPA reporting is done for the year to the Department of Treasury, which means we're all set and we're in compliance with everything. And just the thing to keep in mind is that all those funds need to be obligated by December 31st of this year, or they have to get sent back. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. It's time for Ellie and I to start coordinating. Our professional auditor's first office visit of the year is coming up very soon, and that requires a lot of documentation and research. So she's going to be in the office and digging through things. We had a communication from the State Health Department wanting additional information about Richard Davis, our wonderful Guilford Health Officer. And I sent that in, and we should be all set. I think this is a maybe new thing, and it's odd. They sent a letter, they didn't send an email, so that got taken care of. And Dan Ingold is not here yet, but he hopefully will show up later. He figured out a really cool thing just in time, I think. We had been getting a lot of electricity credits from our solar situation at Wyndham Solid Waste. We were paying a company called Greenbacker for solar credits, essentially. They're set up the solar array at Wyndham Solid Waste, and we're paying them for that, and they distribute the credits to Green Mountain Power for all the power usage that we do in town. And Dan figured out that the credits could have been more efficiently distributed. It wasn't set up all the way. It was started, the process was started, but not totally well done. So we're not gonna lose any of the credits. And he could probably explain it a lot better than me, but it felt really like a win.
Great.
Cool.
Anything else?
No.
Anybody have questions?
Question?
Yeah.
Any idea if the that microgrid idea that's been bounced around would have helped the situation here at the town office, or?
The power usage.
There was a small, they were gonna make a micro.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we do
I don't know
have
what
a
the status of it
generator.
is now,
I don't know. It seems as if it maybe was a lightning strike.
Oh,
On the building?
Like
Or-
the battery backup just fried.
Yeah,
It didn't
probably not
just.
much you can do about that.
Yeah. So I really.
Just
I don't
bad
know
luck.
how to figure out what happened. It's just dead.
ask me sometime about an early experience I had with the Cuisinart. It was pretty amazing and lightning. I'll tell you something pretty funny. All right.
Wow.
So, Dan, how about, let's hear from you about the roads.
Well, we're finally getting caught up on grading. I'm hoping to be done, probably not this week, but maybe middle of next week. We're on side roads on Route 5 now. I got to come back. Carpenter Hill's rough. I got my first load of chloride last week. So we're chloriding them where they're dusty. But we're gaining on them. I got culverts around town I wanna do. I got a bunch of ditching, on the Guilford Center Road to do with the excavator and swaling out and getting rid of some of the berms. I got some to do on, Hollow Road. I got my culverts a couple weeks ago. I would like to start planting culverts on various town roads. And also, I'd like to give you an update on our budget status.
Sure.
I got this printed out this morning. On my wages, for my general maintenance, we're at 71% of what we allotted, which we're gonna be in pretty good shape for the end of we only got another month and a half to go, and we're gonna be starting a new year. Gravel, over on gravel. And I still got more gravel to haul, so we're about 101% over on gravel. Our winter maintenance, we did very well on. We have a surplus in sand and salt. Salt shed's full, sand shed's full, and we've got a pretty good little, I wouldn't say good little, but we have money left over. While the sand is at 56% that we spent. Salt was like 76%. So we got, extra money surplus from there. Operating supplies I am over on. It's like 120%. And building maintenance, we had some issues that we're over on that, so. And as far as diesel, we budgeted 65,000, we're at 48,000 right now. And my repairs, I figured it up. We budget 60,000 for that, and we're about 65 for repairs. And the repairs, it's change, cutting edges, your blades, it's everything, tires. So any repair work we do, that's what that is. So we're pretty close on track on that. And then I had Ellie print me out for our surpluses, our highway surpluses. Right now, our highway surplus, we have 656,000 in it and change. Our bridge fund that we put money into every year, we have 541,000 and change. And then our capital, which is for buildings, equipment, that is at 396,000, and that's after purchasing the grader that we bought this spring. So the plans and everything that we got is working what they're supposed to be doing.
And we're gonna be talking about some more a little bit later.
Yes, yep, when we get
Bump into this.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then I have some good news for you people that I'm gonna retire in December. I got my packet this morning.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, so
When
I
do you
won't.
get to the good news?
Sometime next week, I'll probably go up and make an appointment, go up and I'll know more when in December when I'm gonna get done. But originally I said I was gonna let everybody know in July, and this spring I said, hell, I'll make my decision now. And so it'll be, everybody, you probably heard rumors that, oh, he ain't gonna get done. Well, I made my mind up, I am gonna get done.
Wow, Dan, thank you.
Dan, can we say no?
Hey,
A lot of good it'll
I
do
know,
us.
can we table that?
I'm not going anywhere, so I'll be around. So.
Yeah.
Can you
Is
be
there-
part of the replacement process with recommendations?
I talked a little bit about Zon, about it. That's why I'm giving everybody a good lengthy notice that
Yeah.
I will be getting done. None of the guys on the crew want it, so we're just, I'm hoping I'd like to see a qualified taxpayer in town,
Yeah,
that be eligible for it, so,
Yeah. yeah, it'd be just nice to have you in on the process.
Yeah, I talked to Zon, I said I'd be, whatever, so.
Perfect. Wow, that's
There
good.
we go. Thank you.
But anyway, so I made my mind up that it's gonna be this year.
Yeah, well, congratulations, and you will be missed at the same time.
Yeah,
Thanks.
yes.
Wow.
Big shoes to fill, Danny.
Yeah.
Big shoes. to-
Full.
Yeah, I'm not even sure they're shoes.
Tire
Big
tracks.
old
Yeah.
galoshes
Yeah.
or whole, yeah. Yeah, thank you.
But I figured I'd give you an update on what our finances are and how things are
Yeah, that's very good.
holding up and whatever, so.
Yeah, I've talked with
And my
them.
other thing that I would like to mention that I always bring a part-time guy in,
Mhm.
and I would like to bring him in a couple days a week. I sat down and figured out what I got. I'd like to maybe bring him in the end next week or the week after. We do budget money for a part-time guy for a couple days a week, because I got extra stuff I'd like to get done,
Okay.
so.
Well, so I was gonna ask you, with all that, there are some positives and some overrides
Yeah.
there, but it's all, you think it's all gonna come out fine in the end? Yeah.
Yep.
All right, good.
So do you already have the person in mind?
As far as part-time,
Yeah,
it'd be Alan.
oh, good.
Yeah, it just, he's my part-time guy, so he comes in
Yeah.
and.
No, I'm glad.
Good. Well, thank you. Anybody have questions, comments for
Oh, I
Dan?
was wondering whether you're seeing more trees falling down in the road this year, because on the Packer Corners Road, there are some that we haven't been able to, well, usually we can sort of drag small ones off, but I was just wondering whether that was something you were noticing a lot this year.
I mean, with the winds we've been having and, but I do wanna get back to cutting ash trees now that we're getting caught up on our grading and our other projects, so, which there's a ton of them around, there's a ton of dead trees around. We try to get the worst ones we can, so there's a lot to it. I mean, it's,
Yeah,
and you just can't, some of them trees, you just can't, they're big, they're huge, so you have to get a bucket. Or, that's, I'm looking at safety wise too. You get somebody on cutting a dead tree and they bump it with a backhoe or a loader, and next you know, somebody's got a limb on their head and they're out of commission, so.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, be careful. Okay,
Yes.
thanks, Dan. Thanks very much. And we will depend on you to talk with us here in a few minutes too. Some of these other things. All right, moving ahead to old business. These are all, it looks like there are 6 topics here that we've already registered before. So let's continue the conversation. The first one we'll address here is the ARPA update with a December 31st obligation, as Erica mentioned earlier. On the screen now is our record of the ARPA dollars as we're keeping track. The town of Guilford was awarded $633,000 and change, and from the federal government because of the American Rescue Plan Act. And we, just to say it, so it's on the record, we've now, the select board is responsible for expending these dollars in the community in whichever way, all select boards in Vermont are responsible for doing that in whichever way they see fit, in whichever way they see appropriate. So the select board has operated 2 rounds of grants so far with the ARPA dollars. The first round was a relatively small that the select board ran, and we made grants to individual families and to businesses that had demonstrable loss from COVID, and so from the pandemic. The second round was a big round of grants. It spent the bulk of the money, and that was operated and managed for us by a community committee, subcommittee of the board. 5 community members put together a very strong recommendation for us, most of which we followed, and many of those dollars have now gone out. So what we're going to talk about here now is on the screen. Can you push it up so we can see the encumbered dollars?
Encumbered
So-
to be expended.
Yeah, so,
I'll zoom in
yeah,
a
there we
little
go.
bit.
So at this point, can you go up just a little higher so we can see the bottom number there? Yeah. So at this point, the select board, here's a list of amounts that the select board through the granting process so far has already encumbered to projects, but those dollars have neither been obligated nor spent. Obligated by the federal standard means that there's a contract for their expenditure. All those contracts for every single dollar that the town has received, there has to be an obligation created by December 31st of this year. Any dollars that are not obligated by then have to be sent back to the federal government. So at this point, we have encumbered a number of dollars, and we will need to make sure that these also get obligated. There are some questions here. Dan is not here. Dan Ingold is not here. So you can see at the very bottom on the right, the unencumbered dollars which are available are about $1,700. So all the rest of the money has already been essentially awarded in one way or another. And there are two figures in the encumbered figures above. There are two numbers, actually three, that we're not entirely sure of at this point. Let me go through those real quick. The first one is the emergency management digital radio. It's $11,000. That's sitting there as encumbered, not obligated, but that obligation is going to happen very soon.
In the next week or two,
Yeah, so that will no longer be in the encumbered area. It will move up into the expended area. Then we did, through the ARPA Advisory Committee, made a recommendation of a $52,000 grant for a generator to be set at the Guilford School. And there's been a lot of work on what might be the best use of creating I guess what's the reason to put a generator there in the proposal was so that the Guilford School could become a shelter in time of crisis here in town. And so we haven't heard about that yet, and we'll be hearing from Dan Ingold about that, about what the proposal is for that. So that money is still a little in question. The next one is radar speed signs. We're going to address that in just a minute, so that will soon become encumbered. It will soon become expended. Go off the list. And then the Du Bois and King strategic planning process is coming to an end, so we expect that amount of money to go to Du Bois and King. Again, expended dollars. Then the advisory committee recommended that a town grant writer, that we commit $20,000 to a shared grant writer with other towns in a program through Wyndham Regional Commission. But as I understand it, that program has not been set up yet. So there may be a possibility for a different use. Thanks, Michael. Can we continue talking for a few more minutes?
Yeah, sure.
This?
Yes.
Right? Okay. And so I just want to alert the select board and folks in town that we're watching this, and we will need to develop probably another mechanism that the select board will finally get all the dollars obligated by December 31st. So if people in the community have ideas about how to spend $1,700, and chances are it will be more depending on how these other issues fall out, we'll just keep you apprised. So just want to let everyone know. Okay?
I just wanted to mention something about the grant writer, because if you remember, Wyndham Regional changed their bylaws so that towns could collaborate on applying for grants together. And that seemed like a really important change, because towns like ours don't really have enough capacity to, many of those grants could benefit several towns at once, and having Wyndham Regional's expertise and sort of convening and collaborating skills will, I just thought it was great. We noticed the lack of that, and when that change in their bylaws took place, it was a very hopeful sign. So I hope they can get that up and running.
Yeah, I'm not sure that they will. I've been in touch with them some. But,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's
so we'll
too
see.
complicated?
Well, it's just a little too low on their list right now, I think, right now. But we'll stay in touch about it. Okay. Any other questions here at the select board about this? Everyone up to speed enough? You understand how it works? Okay. Is there anything anybody in the community would like to say? We might need to take that down so we can see if there's a hand come up.
I have a question.
Oh, yes, Doris.
And I'm beating the same old drum about the generator over at the school. If the town doesn't own the school property over there, how does that all work out? there seems to be a lot of like ifs, you know, even as far as maybe we could use it as a shelter, but are all those, that $52,000 is a lot of money
Yeah, it is.
to put into something that in the end, they might say, you know, we're not able to use it. So have all those things been checked out before we put that kind of money into a
I
generator?
wish Dan were here. He probably could answer all those, but I can't. So Dan had said he would be here this evening to help us work through this, but he's not here now. So we'll have to, thank God, December 31st isn't immediate, so we can get answers, I hope. But we don't have them right now, of course.
Well, I know when the power goes out around here with their school in session, I have to call the principal and tell him there's no power at the school. And then he calls the superintendent out in Brattleboro and gives them a heads up. I mean, as far as when the power goes out, how they always want to know how long it's going to be. But I mean, that's when the power goes out. So.
Okay. Well, there are a lot of concerns. I hear that, Dolores. I hear what you're saying, and I will keep talking about it.
I mean, certainly at emergency management meetings, that I've attended, the idea that the Guilford School would be a potential shelter was, nobody was saying anything about how we don't own the school and therefore it wouldn't be possible. But I really appreciate, you know, that we've got to have this nailed down. You know, if Guilford lost its school, then that would be another, a much more profound situation in terms of, you know, having a generator there.
Well, it's all combined though. It's all the, you know, if we don't own the school, I mean.
I believe there's maybe there's not an MOU yet, but there's a understanding at the supervisory union who does own the school that this could be a potential shelter, and they agree that it's okay to do. So that's what started Dan on this path of looking at the generator and also looking at creating a microgrid between the town office, the school, and the garage to help out in those situations too.
I see Jason Heron's hand.
Oh, I'll have to unmute. Hold on.
Okay.
Me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. As far as the generator goes, I thought that the ARPA funds was a one-time deal, essentially that we make a payment for something.
Yeah.
1 second, Jason. May we continue for just a minute more? Thank you. Go ahead. Go ahead,
Okay.
Jason.
Anyway, so the ARPA money I thought was only supposed to be used for a one-time deal. An emergency diesel generator, if it's actually going to be qualified as an emergency diesel generator, requires some serious maintenance, obviously has diesel fuel, the electricity to that machine, the maintenance person to actually maintain it. If you're using ARPA funds for this, there's obviously maintenance fees on top of it. How can you justify the one-time ARPA payment knowing, and where does that money come from? Where is it budgeted for a maintenance man to keep an emergency diesel generator? Now, again, if it's qualified as an emergency diesel generator, it is going to have routine maintenance, monthly, most likely, where it have to start up for a certain amount of time. But I just want to know where that money's coming from, seeing that ARPA was only supposed to be, you know, like you resurface the tennis courts and that's a one-time deal. You do a new town website, it's a one-time deal. This is you're purchasing something and it's going to cost the town monies that, again, I don't believe that ARPA was intended for that.
Thank you.
Could you address that?
Tara.
Thank you very much. Tara?
I would just assume that with the purchase, we would have a 1 to 3 year warranty on a piece of equipment like that. So I don't know if that's budgeted in or not, but that would at least give us time to budget for any type of maintenance.
Thank you. All right, we'll move ahead then to traffic calming, radar signs purchase. The next item on the agenda. Just to remind the select board here that we, I think it was October, maybe October 26th, the select board approved the notion of purchasing 2 sets of radar signs, one to go on Weatherhead Hollow and one to go on Heinsberg Road, yeah. And so we're at the moment where we are ready to do that. And so Erica has pulled together done the research in the contract, and this would be part of I just want to label this as part of our asset management plan. The actual plan has not been delivered to the select board yet because we'll enter that in the new fiscal year, but we're going to talk about 3 things tonight that are going to be part of that plan. This is the first of those. So Erica, would you like to talk us through this, please?
Sure. So I have been kind of back and forth with this company. It's the same company that we got our other radar signs from, and they're exactly the same signs, and the cost is essentially the same. They're a Sourcewell company, so that is a bidding thing that, you know, we don't have to go out to bid because Sourcewell does it for us and gets the best price they can, and so that's what this is. And the signs, like Zahn said, the select board agreed on October 23rd to award the town up to $20,000 to get 4 new signs to do speeding calming, and this is going to be just about that. The prices have gone up a tiny bit. The total, I think you can see here, in the end will be $1,756. But this is going to be spread out over 2 fiscal years. The bulk of the award will go this fiscal year to getting the signs and the brackets that need to come. They're going to be ready in about three weeks, they said, from now. And so because this is some ARPA dollars that need to be obligated by December 31st, and we have a 1-year free contract for the cloud service that goes along with it, we're going to sign the contract basically for an extended cloud service for another 7 years, and that's going to happen before December 31st, so we don't have an issue with the ARPA money, and then we'll get to do the overage, the $1,756 left over in the next fiscal year, which is budgeted under law enforcement equipment.
All right, I want to just say, thank you, Erica. I want to just say that on the screen, what we're looking at right now is the project sheet that is used for this particular project, radar speed signs. And you can see that there's a source of funds and where the revenue account lines, so we can track everything, where the money's coming from. And then we can also cross-track it with the expense account lines. And we can see it this is a standard format, this project sheet. We'll be seeing this more and more in our efforts to keep track and reveal to the community how we're spending dollars that are part of the asset management plan. So we should be able to track all of these just on a very regular basis is the idea here. So I wondered if there was any conversation here at the board, but before that, I would like to make a motion that we authorize Erica to proceed with this purchase and get this taken care of, at least the sign portion of the. So I move that we authorize Erica to take care of purchasing 4 more radar signs. I have a second for that.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Thank you, Brenda. Is there any discussion at the select board? Any questions? Anything we don't quite understand?
Yeah, could you just help me understand a little more, Eric, about the cloud contract? Does that include the pair we already have? And
Those are in there, they have their own contract that already exists. It breaks down to about $100 a year per sign. So what this is gonna be, I think 100, maybe 200 per year per sign. The total for a 7-year contract for 4 signs is $8,600. Yes, that's right there. So, and that's a 7-year contract, which we have with the existing ones, which is up, I think, in 2027.
We, just to say it, when we did this on the previous signs, we could have done a 1-year contract, but there was quite a cost savings if we go ahead and
Yes.
sign up for the 7-year.
Yes,
What do they use it for? Just stats, like?
exactly. You can get reports from
Get
them.
Right, you
reports.
can get, they'll tell you how, your average speed, how fast you're going, what time of the day. There's quite a bit of information you can.
So we actually learned from the first pair that we had
Yeah.
that in fact the signs were making a difference.
Okay,
We
yeah,
were
so I
able
was
to
wondering.
track on the first day, we could see what the average speeds were. And then we watched it for a few months, the data coming out, and you could see that the average speeds were going down. It doesn't mean it took care of speeding,
Right.
but the average speeds were going down.
Was this resident driven? Like, how did we decide where they were going? Was it we-
Yes, yes. It was
Yes.
two
The-
main areas of
Where are they
complaint
going?
and a traffic study that
Oh,
the
okay.
regional did for us.
So the first set, we chose Route 5 just because there was a lot of traffic there.
Right.
Concerned about Algiers.
Yeah.
Seeing if we could make a difference there. The other on Heinsberg Road and on Weatherhead Hall. I don't know the exact spots, but
It'll probably be from the fairgrounds
Oh, yeah.
down to,
okay. So where it turns to
Guilford Center,
45
yeah.
in there. Okay.
Okay, that'll be good.
And then how about Heinsberg Road?
Heinsberg Road will be, of course, that's posted pretty much 45 from the Brattleboro line all the way to the dirt road that lines this. The most complaints that we've had is coming down by Carpenter Hill, that end there, around Hunt's Corner,
Yeah.
around that way.
So
Is
I can see that.
Can they be moved, or are they pretty much where they are?
no, you can move them. I mean, you can just, the biggest thing is putting them on a good solid post
Uh-huh.
and get them in the ground and make sure some clown don't come by with a shotgun and blow them away or something.
yeah, right. Yeah.
They're not on a cart though, some, like
No,
you've seen
this
some of
is
them on
just-
carts with wheels, this is on a post.
Stationary.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take that down in case. So, are there? Before we vote, are there anything else the select board wants to ask about? Okay, are there any comments in the community, please? I'm sorry, I'm just stop for a second. I see a person named Sarah on the call online. Sarah, we need to see your first and last name.
Is that Sarah Elizabeth?
I don't know. I don't know. We need to see, or you can speak your name. You could unmute her
I can
and
unmute
we could see
Sarah.
you. All right.
That's correct.
Sarah Elizabeth.
Yeah, last name is E-M-M-O-N-S.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Emmons, thank you.
Emmons. Thanks so
Thank
much.
you.
Mhm. All right. Okay. So let's take a vote then. Are we, per the motion, are we willing to? There's Dan. Are we willing to authorize Erica to take care of these purchases? Tara.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Michael.
Aye.
Veranda.
Aye.
Zana says aye. Okay, thank you very, very kindly. We'll take care of that then. All right, then are we prepared?
Well, if Dan's in here, did you want to go
No,
back? Okay.
sorry.
Missed
Sorry.
that.
Yeah. Missed opportunity.
Missed opportunity.
Yeah. We might, if there's time at the end of the meeting.
Yeah, he has another moment.
Yeah, he has another moment. So,
Probably does have another.
Michael, are you and Tara ready to talk about select board goals?
Yeah,
All right.
I think so.
Great. So let's, the next item on the agenda is the 24-25 Select Board Goals. Just to note that the Select Board appointed a task force, that's the new word, a task force of Michael and Tara to look at our Select Board goals for this next year, and they're ready to speak to us.
So, yeah, we did review the previous year's goals and we found, are we able to pull them up? Or it's okay if we can't, but.
No.
I'm looking at them here.
I don't think they're,
Can you share your screen, Tara?
Can I don't think I can. I've got two computers, so I'm looking on another
Yeah, I
computer.
would have to
That's
interrupt
okay.
everything.
It's
Um,
the town website.
Okay. Oh, they're on the website?
They're on the website?
Eric,
You mean the old goals or the new ones?
But the previous years.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So just to be clear, Tara and I haven't rewritten the goals yet. We've just talked about what we recommend to bring forward here. So we noticed at the beginning, there's some language. It's really an introduction at the top of the goals that speaks to COVID response. And we're feeling like, while it's still somewhat of a valid concern, I think there should be less emphasis on that at this point. So I'd like to edit that first opening statement there. And then we just have three specific areas. One being the Windham County Sheriff's contract to work with the subcommittee to establish law enforcement strategy and services that serve all citizens of Guilford equitably. And to clarify the scope of what the services will be. And then in response to what's happened in another community recently, one that I came up with was to work to maintain a good relationship between the town of Guilford and the Guilford Volunteer Fire Department. And finally, we're talking about it tonight, but just to formally add it to our goals, to review the select board policies and make updates if appropriate. And then, I mean, there are many other goals from the previous year that I would recommend that we just
Carry forward.
Not change. That being said, I'm all ears for, and I'm sure Tara is as well, for the rest of the select board's input and suggestions if there's anything that you think we missed.
This is great. I do have a thought. Thanks. I think that there's a fair amount of language in last year's goals about the addressing the Guilford Capital Plan and the Guilford the Capital Needs Assessment, which we did in the last year by creating this asset management plan, so that I wouldn't carry that one forward any longer.
Okay.
So we might want to change the big category says the select board implements and monitors the Guilford Capital Plan, continuing to update the public. So you might want to, if we're going to leave it in there at all, we might want to change it to the monitors the asset management program.
yeah, I actually have the select board goals and made some changes. And that was one of them where it says review 2018 capital needs assessment. I changed that to asset management plan.
Okay.
We don't have it to look at, but one of the actions in the top was Michael had talked about the sheriff present, and I had said like one of the actions would be to create a panel to collaborate with the select board to establish a schedule and criteria for a sheriff presence, as well as traffic signs. This is in the safety part of priorities.
Great.
Also in edits and suggestion in priorities. Sorry, I need numbers here. That would be better. There we go. So what I just talked about is number one. Guilford is a welcoming, inclusive, affordable, sustainable, and safe community. Safety was something that Veranda and I had added last year. So now that we are going to be working with a sheriff, that's one thing. We're working on the traffic signs. We're conscious of speed. We've done a lot of studies there. Number two is the select board is curious, open, transparent, and communicates clearly. I had added that maybe we can adjust the meeting under actions. Maybe we can adjust meeting agendas to allow public comments at the end of the meeting. And then we're going to talk about this tonight, but possibly a time to answer questions from the public if answers are available, because I know that the public wants that. I also don't want to have 2 hours added to a meeting, but that's just something that we can discuss. Right, Guilford. So number 4 was the select board implements and monitors the Guilford capital plan, and I put / asset management plan. And then the other part that we worked on was number 2, the select board is curious, open, transparent, and communicates clearly. And then at the end, under edits and suggestions, would be add a select board representative for the Finance Advisory Committee as a liaison. So I can now, earlier I couldn't send this all to you, but now I can. So we can all just work from this.
Okay. Well, I think what I don't know, are there other thoughts and considerations? Yeah. I think what I would recommend is that you guys take what you've done, take and put it all in one document, and maybe at our next meeting, we could look at it and adopt it. It feels
Okay.
good. I don't think there's anything else I mean, if there are other thoughts, let's get it in into the meeting folder for next time, and we'll look at it one more time and then adopt it at our next meeting.
Okay, and Michael and I just request that that all of you look over it one more time in case you have anything that you think needs to be added or changed, and let us know.
Okay, good.
Thank
Good,
you.
sounds like a plan. Thank you very much. All right. You okay? Yeah.
Yeah, sounds great.
Good, all right. Good, then I think we'll move ahead. That's all
Yeah,
right?
thanks for your work on
Yeah,
this.
thanks, yeah. All right, next item on the agenda is, we're calling it policy review. This is a year-long project that the select board's undertaking, where we're going to be looking at all of our policies and bringing them up to date, making changes as necessary. So the first one we're going to talk about this evening is Guilford Meeting Rules of Procedure Policy. And I do want to say that Chip has offered to lead us through all of this policy review, not just tonight's, but for the entire year. So we'll be hearing from Chip.
Right. I mean,
Appreciate that very much.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, did you want me to go through it page by page, or how did you want me to handle it in terms of, how I stacked it, compiled it, key points? I'll just tell you right off the top, it's a combination of the BLCT 2024 model, their rules of procedure, which they released about 8 weeks ago. I attended a webinar where they released it. And it's also a compilation with the Secretary of State's Municipal Division, Jenny Prosser, and their guide to open meeting. And then I also took into consideration some of the provisions that were in the 2023 version of the Guilford Rules of Procedure.
Maybe it'd be great if you could highlight any changes that you're anticipating or suggesting that we can talk about.
Sure. Some of these, according to both the Secretary of State as well as the VLCT, cannot be changed because they actually mirror state law exactly. So, some of those sections would be minutes, agendas, etc. But, if you just want to start at the top, I divided it into different sections, but under organization, I added, and again, it's a compilation of what is out there from the people who are basically, to me, have the credentials and credibility. But the provision of the body may vote to remove the chair or vice chair at any time and elect a new chair or vice chair by majority vote. Present company excluded, but this was not actually in the 2023 rules of procedure, and it's something I thought that should be there, just in case, you have no idea. So I just thought it was a good provision to have in there.
And it's recommended by VLCT.
It is all of
these
these are not, this isn't me sitting at home going, this would be great. So the other change I made or suggesting is that these rules may be amended by majority vote. I left off the sentence, which must be readopted annually. I thought that we could actually change that to reviewed annually. It's a small, difference, but I mean, if you want to do it that way, just putting it out there. So it would say these rules may be amended by the majority vote of the body and must be reviewed annually was the original sentence. Adopted annually was the original sentence. Under agendas, this mirrors state law, as does our current 2023 version, cannot be changed. And I encouraged everybody, or will encourage everybody, to look through it, and if there's a paragraph missing, that can be added, but the language mirrors state law. The same for the meetings as well. The section on meetings also mirrors state law and Vermont statute. And then under motions and voting, this is a new section because I think motions and voting needed its own section, which it does have in the 2024 VLCT updated model. So, some of them are standard, but like number 1 is any member of the body may make a motion. 2, a member of the body may speak or make a motion only after being recognized by the presiding officer. 3, members of the body are not limited by the type of motions they make, etc. The next 2 are new, but they clearly outline why only members of the select board, not residents, can make a motion of point of order. This is the information I got from the VLCT Senior Staff Attorney Garrett Baxter, along with 2 nationally recognized parliamentarians. And Garrett Baxter, the Senior Staff Attorney who gave me this answer, I'm quoting him directly, he emailed me back and said, I would recommend amending the board's rules to make this prohibition explicit. So that's why I've included it in the updated rules of procedure. Do you want me to read it?
Yeah. I think I
Okay.
read it.
Only members of the select board may make a motion of point of order. A select board meeting is not like a town meeting where residents or the public body at a town meeting. The difference stems from the fact that the deliberative assembly at town meeting is the registered voters of the town, while the deliberative assembly at a select board meeting is the select board itself. While members of the public are afforded the right under Vermont's open meeting law to attend and comment at select board meetings, they are not afforded the same privileges as the assembly / the select board itself. As a follow-up, I put, when a select board member thinks that the rules of the assembly are being violated, he can make a point of order or raise a question of order, as it is sometimes expressed, thereby calling upon the chair for a ruling and an enforcement of the regular rules. This is off of Robert's Order newly revised 12th edition 23.1 out of the book. So, and actually, I had to read that. Fast, riveting reading. But the other ones are, it goes a long time, but that was the major addition to the what did I call it? Section motions and voting. Public participation. We're sort of wide open on it. The old provision had it as at the conclusion of each agenda item, but before any action is taken by the public body at each meeting, there may be 5 minutes afforded for open public comment. By majority vote, the body may increase the time for open public comment and its place on the agenda. I talked to Cale Romanoff on the flexibility. He's one of the VLCT staff attorneys, as well as Jenny Prosser on this with the Secretary of State's Municipal Division. And here's his response. He says that the minimum requirements are that the public shall be given a reasonable opportunity, and I'm putting this out to you now because it's up for discussion, to express its opinions on matters considered by the public body during the meeting. That's 1 VSA section 312. It is up to your board to decide when this opportunity is given. Some boards set out a time for public comment per each item on the agenda, while others lump public comment period into a single part of the agenda. And then the Secretary of State said public bodies must give members of the public a reasonable opportunity to express their opinions on matters being considered by the body at an open meeting. Many boards allow public comment at the start of the meeting, while others place it as the final agenda. I recommended doing it at the beginning and the end. And then I also recommended putting in the time, changing the time from 3 minutes to 5 minutes. Because my personal opinion is, let's face it, if someone is going to stand up, they're going to burn through 3 minutes because they're going to just try and get their thoughts organized in the first 45 seconds or so. So they're now down to 2:15 or 2:30. So I'm just trying to avoid the time's up alert. 5 minutes to me is a reasonable amount of time, for somebody to get their thoughts in. And, it would be up to the board to decide how long that public comment would be. The second one would be, I would recommend 15 minutes, which is an extension. You see, meeting order is essentially the same. Meeting minutes, again, mirror state law. And that's it. I did write a preface that, sort of which I could have used, sort of a select board for dummies, which I needed when I started here, those big yellow books like Select Board for Cricket. That, I thought I'm not going to read it all, but I thought it's basically an open meeting law, frequently asked questions that people could turn to at the same time. So when they look at the policy, it can either be a standalone, as Erica said, with just kind of a cool point of illumination, or it can be, so it could have its own link on the website, or it could be down there as part of the preface, which I also did because I know we're coming up on the reserve fund too, which I kind of did the same thing for that as well. Yeah, sort of just a prologue or a preamble or whatever.
So Chip, were you thinking of the frequently asked questions part as what the designated person would share at the start of each meeting?
No, that's just a standalone FYI if you're reading it and you have questions on open meeting law. These are the questions that, have only
Oh, no, I know the questions.
Yeah.
I think they're really good answers.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, those are the ones I just got hit with, or you hear from people in meetings or whatever, and I thought, it's an FAQ, I'm gonna write it down.
So it's just a separate.
It's a separate document, standalone thing. Like the intro, like the forward to a book.
Like, I'm thinking when we did all that work on the conflict of interest policy, that made some things appear on the web page on our website for conflict of interest. So you click on a policy link and it brings you to another page that has some information.
So this could be on there.
So the little narrative about the rules of procedure at the start of each meeting, that would be the first part of what you read tonight would continue to be.
Yeah, that's basically a shortened version of this 18-page thing. Yeah. But the preface is completely a standalone.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the process I'd like to use here is that I think makes sense is that we would hear all this. Do you mind if we continue a bit more? A couple more minutes?
How about that?
I just wanted to know that one of the things we learned is that we're required by statute to say how long we spend on each agenda to estimate. And so it's not just that one person on the select board just makes this up. I think it's highly peculiar, actually, that the state says that this is how much time this thing should take.
It's a good point.
But as we're trying to be compliant and we have a process for changing it, I guess we should keep up with that process unless we decide to stop it.
Yeah.
Right. I was feeling, that's why I told Mike I'm kind of proud I got it under 10. So.
But what I'd like to do is have us hold all this. I have a couple of comments I'd like to make. And
sure.
At the next meeting, we would come, maybe it'd be great if before the next meeting, we could see a document that would look like the policy.
Yeah, it's a rough draft, so I will redo it.
Away.
Yeah.
And so,
depending on what we come up with.
And so then we would at the next meeting, this would give time for people in town to also
put it on the website.
Yeah, we can. I don't know if we'll put it up on the website, but the town people can be thinking about what we're talking about.
Sure.
They can read the policy and that as it stands now. Because we won't have anything to put up just yet. We're not.
Okay.
We're going to be organizing what we would like to do by the next meeting.
Sure.
I would like to propose that we, under the motion quickly, just under public participation, what's currently number 15, or I don't know if it's in our current law, but what's on this page here talks about public comment under other business is limited to the business of the body, and I think that we don't have to follow that by statute, And we don't follow it because we allow people in our community to speak about whatever they
About
want
saying
to speak.
anything.
Yeah.
Yes, I see
Like the
that.
window dressers.
Right.
So I think that we aren't limiting business only to what's on the agenda, if people want to say whatever they want to say. However, I do want to point out at this point, that part of this process has taught me something that I did not know, and that's that whenever a community member brings up a question, and the question may not be is not on the agenda, the topic that they bring up is not on the agenda, we cannot speak about it. The select board cannot speak about it because it had not been warned. Is that crazy?
It's crazy.
But that's a rule. So we can only talk about items that are on the agenda. We can only talk about items that are on the agenda. The public can talk about whatever it wants. It's just that we can't speak about it. And the public cannot expect the select board to be able to speak about it because we are constrained by statute.
Can you do something with your eyes?
Can't talk about it.
This actually reminds me of a children's book where Frog and Toad, where Toad has made a list and his list starts blowing away, and his friend Frog says, "Let's go chase the list." And Toad says, "We can't chase the list because chasing the list was not on my list." I mean, I really think, Chip, you're so on this stuff. Maybe you could go talk to some, one of your experts about how pathetic this is.
Well, yeah, it is true because I wrote it down. It's just, the direct quote from the VLCT and the SOS was, "You shouldn't act on anything brought up under other business because it wasn't properly warned. It appears to be the clear implication of the open meeting law's requirement of an agenda in the first place." And I just put my own notes like, hey, not many people know this, including me, until I sat here. So, yeah, which doesn't, So the good thing is they can bring up whatever they want to bring up that's under the select board purview, but we just can't comment on it. And we can also, be able to maybe take it and put it on an agenda down the line. But
Yeah, exactly. That's why it's important to be able to hear whatever the public wants to say. I also think that I want to point out that our attempt is going to be, we're going to change the format, I think. I'm not certain that we'll do that, but we're going to change the format of our meetings away from offering the public an opportunity to speak at every single agenda item, but instead we're going to offer two portions during the meeting at which the public will be able to comment about whatever they want on the agenda or not. And we'll stop this conversation. How about that?
Well, Tara has something to say.
Let's go back. Okay.
So I just want to be clear that we may be talking about changing when the public can speak, and if it is before and after, we cannot comment, select board members cannot comment about anything that the public states unless it's on the agenda, correct?
right.
Correct.
Okay, and so if the public comment periods, within that, the public has questions that are on the agenda, I'd like to be able to have any select board be able to comment or answer the public and not just the chair.
Yeah, in that public comment period, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. Like, that's what I think that's a good idea too. In fact, I've got that here that if we're changing, I'd like to see the sort of the rules of procedure change in the meeting as well. So we don't want to filter everything through the chair. If we don't have to. 90% of the time, we say thank you to whomever just delivered the comment, then we ask the public if they have anything else to say, and then we move on, or the four of us sit in silence, and I'm not wired like that, so it'd be nice to be able to, if Dolores has a question or Connie comes up with something, to be able to turn and directly respond, because otherwise I feel like the four of us kind of sit like bumps on a log, and it doesn't give the impression that I want to create.
Well, I think, oh, I'm sorry.
I will say that I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
And it's not a personal thing on my part. I don't like it either. But statute requires that all comments are directed to the select board chair. So that's something we have to learn, that I need to then turn to any one of the select board members and ask, do you have anything you want to say?
Right.
It won't work. It simply will not work. I can tell you already, if any one of us decides to answer any one of those questions.
No, as long as we're given the opportunity,
Right, is what
which
you're
I think
saying.
is important.
I
Yeah.
Which is something we discussed at the last meeting, and that we've discussed, is that you want to be able to kind of relinquish the appearance
Absolutely. Could
you
not
being in
agree more.
control of everything, and to be able to let us take some of that
Right.
brunt or responsibility.
Yeah, I hear
Yeah.
you, and I'm all for that.
And it also reflects the reality that we're doing much more delegating, of parts of our work to different members of the board, so that everybody doesn't have to be equally up on everything. And so the delegation, just knowing who might be able to answer the question and having us ready to answer it.
Yeah.
I don't think it has to be very formal, but
No.
Just, no, it's good.
it's
And
like
I'm
air
all
traffic
for it.
controller.
I'm all in favor of that, Okay, so Tara, we'll keep that, what you're suggesting, in mind. We'll talk about all these specific changes very specifically at the next meeting and see if we can get to a policy that makes good sense for us. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, I see.
Let me just, let me ask you, so you want me to write a follow-up to this with the points that we've
Yeah.
Okay.
In other words, let's take,
Something
we
that
can't
just-
do any more work.
right.
We
Just
can't do
take
any
this
work.
rough draft and finish and
Pull out all
pull it
all
out.
your
Yes,
comments.
got it.
Yeah. And I would recommend that as we talked, you were mentioning it tonight, but I am suggesting specific language for public participation number 4.
Yeah.
I would suggest it say, at the conclusion of the business portion of the meeting, there may be 15 minutes afforded for open public comment.
Can you email that?
Yep.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, that'd be perfect. Awesome. Thanks.
All right. Okay, I see Jason Heron's hand. You have to unmute
I
it.
have to unmute, sorry.
That's what we're
There
doing.
you go.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman, select board members. What if, tonight, there's 6 topics in old business and there's 6 topics in new business?
Mhm.
If I wanted to talk on, say, 5 of those topics, would I then be limited to 5 minutes to discuss all 5 of those topics? So I'd be basically limited to less than a minute when you're talking about introduction and a time limit per. And if I wanted to talk to, say, all 12 of those, I would be given, say, 15 seconds or so to do this. Is that right?
I'm not going to enter into it. Is that a comment you're making? If it's a comment, I hear you.
If this is the intent, if there were 6 topics I wanted to discuss,
That's a good point.
and you're allowing 15 minutes at the end of the period, say there's 10 people that want to discuss 4 or 5 items, you're limiting to 15 minutes, so that's 3 people giving 5 minutes, but if they all want to talk on 5 different topics, you're basically limiting to them to less than a minute per topic. And you're not, at that point, the select board's already considered it, they're not considering it. So it doesn't seem to, I don't know why you would change what we have right now. I mean, at the end of every discussion, you should open up for public comment. And that's, doing this now, it's certainly not a reasonable opportunity for the public to engage the select board. You're giving them 30 seconds to comment.
Thank
Or
you.
less even.
Thank you. Well, you have something you'd like to say, Joe?
Well, I mean, I think it's fluid. I mean, I think the time element is fluid. I do like the idea of a beginning and an end rather than a per agenda item. And I know that it's a reasonable amount of time, but yeah, I mean, if someone has, 6 things they want to say, and if there's only 2 other people, it's in the statute and the policy right now that we can just vote and extend that window. It's not set in stone, like you're at 15-minute max and that's it. We can go to 30. We can do whatever it is. And on the flip side of that, if 15 people wanted to speak on agenda item, 8D, and we're only gonna allow 30 minutes, it's still a reasonable amount of time if not every one of those people gets their opinion in. So there is some fluidity built into it, but we can always, I think, depending on the structure and the amount of comments that people wanna make, it's a fluid environment.
Well, I think that also people can write to the select board, to individual members
Correct.
or to the town administrator or to
Yeah, there,
the select board as a whole.
yeah, there are
For
multiple-
us to have that correspondence, to consider what the person is saying and to develop a response in a more deliberate manner, other than trying to understand 6 different responses
Right,
in one
that's a good point.
efficient period of time.
And the other part of that too is that it'll carry over into the following select board meeting. So then if it is on the agenda, following the discussion, that's in the public comments, someone can bring it up again.
Yes.
So that's an even greater opportunity to, to deliver an opinion.
Is it currently written, or are we considering writing it that the public has an opportunity to speak about any agenda item for 5 minutes?
No,
No.
it's not. It currently, our current policy states that at the end of every agenda item, there may be a comment from the community. So because of recent activities, I'm leaning toward, yes, there will be a comment opportunity at every single agenda item. Now we're considering changing that so that it won't be at each agenda item, but it will be just generally in the meetings, there will be 2 opportunities for people to speak. Which,
Where is it? Sorry, Zon. Where is it? The 3 minutes. It's currently 3 minutes.
No, it just says a reasonable amount of time in the policy right now. It says there may be up to 5 minutes for community comment. It's not per individual. It says 5 minutes for community comment, and the select board can extend that amount of time if it wants to.
Which
That's-
we would-
I see Catherine in the waiting room.
Which the second one would be a minimum, let's say, for example, not set in stone, 15. And so now they would have 15 minutes in the second one. And that time, as I mentioned, can be fluid and changed right then. If it's 15 is not enough, we can go to 25 or whatever.
Okay,
Yeah.
See?
all right. Okay,
Steve?
sorry, I'm sorry.
I was under the impression, Steve Lemke, River Road, I was under the impression that the current policy says there can be public comment if there's a motion.
That was,
So we can get into it. It's debatable.
Okay, so the reason I'm asking the question is I question whether or not the board should be taking comments on this right now. Because if it's when there's a motion made, it would be when Chip brings back the second draft and people have had time to think about it. And then it's presented to the board as the second draft and there's more discussion. And then the board says, could I have a motion, the chair says, could I have a motion to accept this? Then, if you want to do it on an agenda item, but I was under the clear impression that the only time the public spoke now is if there was a motion made.
So I'll just take a minute to explain quickly that it does not say specifically that. I would say the policy, sorry, Michael.
That's okay, 25 minutes.
Yeah, we've been going on a long time here. The policy that is currently, one of the reasons we need to change it is that it's not clear. It's not absolutely.
That's good enough explanation for me. Amen.
Say.
That's a good enough explanation for me because there's enough confusion on it so that I think it should be clear what there is, and the one at the end should be the one that addresses each agenda item by the individual. And if yes, 15 people want to talk about 12 items, okay, we can go till Thursday on it.
Right.
But the bottom line is a reasonable group of people would have a reasonable amount of time to talk about a reasonable number of items.
Exactly.
That's exactly what open meeting law calls for. It's a reasonable amount of time.
Enough
Can
said.
I just ask, so when you're talking about something, whatever, a policy change or whatever, and you actually have a question, public has a question about what you're talking about, you have to wait until the
Yes.
end.
Well, that's what we're proposing. That's what we're proposing. You could raise your hand at any time. I have the opportunity as the chair to, but it's not promised to anyone, as our current policy is promising that. And
Yeah.
so,
My thing is that like, if you're talking about something and I don't even understand where you're coming from or how it is,
You
and
wanna
then
be
you
able to
move on
ask-
to the next one, it's like,
yeah.
you know,
I get this. I think that what Ann Ryder said at the beginning, we've had a lot of issues with being able to run and do our business, sort of like we're having right now, because there's a lot of input from the community that is important. Don't get me wrong, it's important. But some of the community members that offer opinions are not aiding us in moving forward. In fact, what they're trying to do is actually stop the motion forward. I'm not accusing anyone particularly, but I think we all know what we're talking about. We're trying to find a balanced way in which the select board can do its work. That's what we're attempting to do here. So it may not be happy-fying for every person in the room or online exactly how we're going to do that, but we have a responsibility to do the work of this town. And we have the right to set it up so that we can do that work the best way we need. And we are working to be balanced and reasonable with everyone in the community, but when we get stopped from doing our work, then that's not reasonable. And that's what we're working to try to set up and go forward with. And I think we're listening to everyone. I think we're trying very hard to make this work. So we hear all these ideas, and I think we'll look at it all next time.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, really, just to close this, anybody who wants to read what the current rules of procedure are, they're on the website. And so we're talking about small switches. So, and it is, it's confusing. Like just what you've heard us talking about, trying to square state statute with what we're actually doing here is tricky. But it doesn't have to be a mystery if you want to know what the current rules of procedure are, for instance, and we'd be happy to have you look at them.
They're printed out, they're always right by the sign-up sheet.
There we go.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I wasn't talking necessarily the rules of procedure, I was just talking like
General.
a general
Yeah.
question about something.
Hear you.
I thought that's a good point.
Yeah, very good point. Thank you. Let's move ahead then. We'll take all this under due consideration for the next meeting. The next on the agenda is the Windham County Sheriff Service Contract Advisory Committee appointment. I'm going to turn, just to remind the select board, we authorized Erica at a previous meeting to populate a committee for us and begin this process. And so she has a report this evening.
Yes. Okay, where do I start? So the purpose of this advisory committee, to remind everyone, is to advise the select board about an annual plan for policing services to be contracted from Windham County Sheriff's Office. Everybody in town voted at town meeting to appropriate up to $68,000 for these services. And this contract has a number of options that, as Mark Anderson said, work like a menu. We can decide what we want and what percentage. Not, we don't have complete control. I think the sheriff's office will have a lot of input there when we really get going, but we got some really wonderful folks to volunteer for this committee, and the first thing I'd like to do is ask the select board. I know we were talking about a five-member committee, but I have found 7 folks who would be really, really great and make a really good group, I think, and a very balanced group. So that's my first request for the select board, to change the number on the committee to 7.
So is that a separate motion?
That would be a separate motion.
Oh,
Do you
I'd
want to
like
hear
to-
the rest of it, and then you can do it all at once?
No, we should
We
do two
can't do
separate
it all
things.
at
We
once.
need to, let's change it first to 7. Yeah, I think we'll do it that way.
Okay.
Okay, I move that
If we-
Is that okay with people?
Yeah, I saw the name. I think it's a great idea.
I move that we change the number on the task force.
Advisory committee.
Advisory committee from 5 to 7.
I will second that.
All right, Chip, thank you. All right, anybody have anything they'd like to say about that? Yeah, on the select board, any members want to comment?
We're not commenting on the candidates yet, right? Or announcing those? Not just as this.
We just have to vote
Just,
on
Alright.
it.
we're just
Sounds good.
increasing the number.
Just trust me.
I was.
All right, Tara, are you willing?
Aye.
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 Chip, aye. Mike?
Aye.
Aye, Fred?
Aye.
And Zan says aye. Okay, good, got
Okay.
that done. So now we need to, the next, I will move that we appoint this committee, the persons that Erica will be naming.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so before I say the names of all these wonderful volunteers, I just want to say that after these appointments are made, I will be contacting this group and firstly giving them information about open meeting law, because this committee will be under the rules of open meeting law, and then I will help them organize themselves into good times for meetings, and Chip and Tara are included because Chip and Tara are the liaison.
Yes.
That-
So,
Yeah.
tell us
So
who-
far, okay,
It's a good group of people.
yeah, okay, so in no particular order, we have Craig Laporte, who is a former
Vermont State.
Vermont State Police member for 30 years. He was on the Vermont State Police. He is on Butternut Hill Road. So the next person is Jared Bristol, who is our Guilford Volunteer Fire Department Chief, whose input will be really, really invaluable.
Central.
Yep. The next person is Hannah Tustin, whose previous municipal experience includes working in Brattleboro's Public Works Department on the traffic safety policy.
Great.
And she was very interested in serving on this committee, so, and she's also our assistant town clerk, but that's fine, totally fine. And we have another former Vermont State Police Force member, Bill Pettingill, who was, oh, I forgot to say something about Craig. We had Gordon Little called to recommend Craig for the appointment, and I'll get to that in a second. So the next person is Bill Pettingill, who ran the barracks for the Vermont State Police for many years, and he was also on the force for 30 years. And he was on Maple Hill Drive. The next person on my list is Gordon Little, who he just is, he's involved in rescue. He's Guilford's representative to Rescue Inc. And he knows so much about the processes there, and he's also very good with finance and numbers and spreadsheets. So I think Gordon is a really good choice for that. The next person on my list is Marty Ramsberg.
Is that
Shall we-
vibrate or does it
Shall we
always?
go, shall we go ahead?
Can we set it on vibrate? I feel like I get electrocuted every time it goes off.
And Marty owns, she's a business owner and lives down in Green River. And she says she's interested in serving to consider how best to allocate our financial resources for policing time and services. We all want to have services that provide the greatest impact for each dollar spent.
Yeah, she's a good negotiator.
Yeah, and she is interested in any service that may deter unwanted behaviors rather than simply punish after the fact, and is looking for Mark's insight on that too, which is great. And my last member is Jameson Ogg, who is a relatively new resident here. You may have seen him at some select board meetings. He's here tonight on Zoom. Hi, Jameson. And he is interested in just what an increased police presence might mean for our small community.
Great.
So thank you, everybody who contacted me to be on this committee. I think it's going to be really great.
Great. All right, so there's a motion on the floor to approve this advisory committee. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Michael. Is there any comment anybody would like to make here on the select board?
It's great.
That's a good group.
I think it's.
Yeah, it really is. I mean-
It's really good.
Yeah.
I will just quickly say that I was on a meeting this afternoon, a BDCC strategic planning meeting of town officials from the region, and one of the comments that they made when they it's about strategic planning, and one of the comments that they made was some community members made was that how difficult it is to get people in their communities to serve in volunteer positions, and I was able to say that we're doing actually quite well in Guilford with a number of different concerns. So thank you all for the community for your involvements here. Appreciate it so much on so many levels. All right, is there anything anybody in the community would like to offer?
Was there more than that, and that's who you chose, or just
Say it
that?
again.
Were there more people that applied?
There were
and that's
7
what-
applicants. Yeah,
Uh-huh, and that was, yeah.
they rounded out nicely.
Mhm.
Okay, let's take a vote then. Tara, are you willing to appoint these 7 folks?
Yes, aye.
All right.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Aye. Zahn says aye. Okay, thank you, folks. We're continuing to move forward here, and now we'll move to item F under old business, which is the elected auditor appointment process. You may recall that the select board received a letter from Leslie Malouin a while. Malouin, sorry. A while back that she needs to step down from the role as elected auditor. So it's the select board's responsibility to appoint an auditor. And so I think tonight we need to lay out a process by which we're going to get that done. So I will propose a process. I've been talking with Eric about it, and it seems to me that a process needs to be that we need to have, at minimum, we need a deadline by which people can apply in the community, people who are interested. We now have a job description from the other 2 auditors of what they see as the role of the elected auditor position to be. And that then there would need to be some interviews, probably of any auditors that apply, so that then we can make an appointment at if we have, say, for instance, a deadline of May 30th, we would probably be able to make an appointment at our June 10th meeting and have that taken care of. So is there anything else that anybody thinks that needs to be part of a process going forward? Does that seem adequate?
Mm-hmm.
The process is described there?
Yeah, so are we going to establish a decision deadline and then tonight? Okay.
Yeah. So,
And then, because we already have 2 candidates?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we thank you for folks that have spoken up in the community already. So, 1 second, how do I get it to you? So I would like to make a motion that we set a deadline for application as May 30th.
Okay.
And so giving people about 2 weeks to get the notion with the information up right away. And then see there are plenty of, we have interest already, but there might be other folks that don't know about this yet. So that would be the reason to go to May 30th. That then we'll be doing 2, sorry, I'm going to step away from my motion for just a second. We need to probably have 2 processes. One is to just make this process, and then we'll probably need to appoint a task force to actually operate the interviews for us, if that's what we agree to. So I'll make a motion that we set a deadline for May the 30th. We authorize Erica to oversee the collection of names and any preparations for that, and that then and getting the word out, and then we would interview potential candidates, and then we would be able to make our hopefully be able to make an appointment at the June 10th meeting.
Can I?
I'll make that as a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Brendan. Yeah.
Can I talk about it?
Sure.
I just think that's a quick, I like the 30th, but I think the 10th, if you just count days that the town is, business days the town is open, is like 4.
Uh-huh.
I don't think that's, like, we have 2, what if we end up with 6, people applying? I just don't think that's quite enough time to turn it.
Should we make it to the June the 24th?
When's the next meeting, the
June
24th? Yeah, that's what I would do.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would agree with Chip. It
All
feels
right.
a little rushed.
Okay. All right, I would allow the motion to be amended. You okay with that?
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
And so am I to understand that we'll put out this job description immediately, or is it already out?
No, it's not out.
Okay,
Pending your-
The posting that there is a that there was a vacancy has been made. But the process by how the select board would go about doing that work has not, that's what we're doing right now.
well, I think it's really valuable that the job description was put together by the current auditors.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even know, that's great.
Yeah. Okay, let's see here. Any further comments here at the select board? I see there, so speak, Connie, did you have?
I had a couple of questions. You talked about we will do the interviewing. Is that the select board doing the interviewing?
We'll, a second motion after we're done with this, after we vote, then I'd like to form a task force from the select board to, because it's the select board's responsibility to do this. So yeah, it'll be a task force from the select board, yeah.
Okay, and does it involve the current auditors, the two current auditors as well?
It won't involve them. In the interview process, it may involve, I don't know, it won't involve them in the interview process, I'll say that. But certainly they'll know who it is, but it won't. We've been advised that our job is not to try to appease or work with them to set it up. It's just our job is to appoint an auditor, and then it goes forward from there. Jason, I see your hand. You can unmute him.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Look, the statute says that the select board's supposed to, appoint someone forthwith. That means without delay, without any hesitation. It's now been 5 weeks since the select board's been aware that this appointment, you made the announcement 4 weeks ago, over 4 weeks ago. Now you have two very qualified individuals that have submitted not only their willingness, but one of them I know has submitted her resume, who's owned her own business for 10 years as an accountant, and had offered her service to volunteer for the town. I know Tammy Sargent is also another one who she was on the Finance Advisory Committee. She's been asking a lot of pertinent questions to the select board. So you have two very qualified people. You know you're supposed to appoint this forthwith, yet you're going to delay at least another month, right? And then after that, you're going to go through an interview process and delay that for another at least 2 weeks, all in hopes to find someone who's not Lindsay or Tara. And so I just wanted that to be,
Okay.
I just wanted to make that statement.
Well, thank you for making a statement. You couldn't possibly be more wrong, but thank you for making the statement. Thank you. All right, so we'll, let's see, is there anything else Select Board member would like to say? All right, Tara, are you in favor of this process as laid out?
Who are the people that have applied for the auditor's position?
Okay, let's, okay. The two people that have applied are Tammy Sargent and Lindsay Mitchell. Thank you. I suddenly blanked on her last name. Lindsay Mitchell. We thank them for their applications or their interest, Yes, for sure. They'll be part of the pool for sure. No question.
So what we're voting on is accepting more applications.
What we're voting on is a process which will, that the select board will go through. We're just clarifying for the community what our process will look like as we go forward. That we'll have a process, we'll have this deadline of May 30th to actually put out a call, which we haven't done yet. And then we will we'll interview candidates and make our selection by June 24th.
And nothing is really, it's not like a super pertinent thing that we have to have another auditor immediately, right?
No, I would say, as I understand it, I would say no. There are community members who disagree and think it should be done whatever forthwith is. You can look up the definition of forthwith, and it means, I think we're totally in line with what forthwith means. Thank you.
Okay, I'm abstaining from this right now.
Okay, that's fine, Tara. Chip?
I'll vote aye.
All right, Michael? All right, Brenda?
Aye.
Zon says aye. Okay, so that's the process that we'll be working through. The second thing is that we need to appoint probably two of us to actually conduct interviews of the candidates who will, we know we have 2 now, there may be more, don't know, there might be only 2. And we'll conduct those between May 30th and in time for us to get prepared for a June 24th appointment. So is there anyone that would be interested in being part of an interview process? We won't make a motion yet till we know who it is, but I think we need to do that. I'm happy to be one of those people.
Yeah, I can't. Not with I gotta do the law enforcement. The July 1st deadline, so no. Plus the.
Oh, and that's Tara's work as well. Okay, well, I guess I will volunteer to do it.
Thank you, Brenda. Thank you. All right, so my motion would be that I think we need to appoint a task force of me and Veranda to conduct interviews and make a recommendation to the select board for the next elected auditor. Okay, is there anything we'd like to say here? Anybody at the select board? All right, I see Jason's hand.
I wanted to say that Erica at the beginning of the meeting said that our professional auditors are about to start looking at our books. And I've been saying all along that I wanted our elected auditors to sit down with our professional auditing firm. If the professional auditors are going to be there and our elected auditors are being delayed for being appointed, I think that is very inappropriate. And again, Mr. Chairman, you are skating dangerously close to doing, what you're doing right now is you're preventing 2 people who are very qualified. And now you want to do the interview process. You just volunteered yourself for that interview process. And you're basically saying the 2 people that put their candidacy, you're not accepting because you want more people. You want more time to find more people. It is what it is. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Jason. I'll just say really quickly that there is a quorum of auditors present at this moment to do the work for the town of Guilford. There's a quorum. So we're not impinging on the elected auditors' ability to do the work of the auditors for the town of Guilford at this time. The elected auditors have a role that they are willing and ready to do and have been doing for a number of years. And if anyone in the community feels like the auditors need to be doing something different than they feel, just as Mr. Herron has expressed that he feels they need to be doing this, then all of those people need to speak directly to the auditors and not to the select board. The select board has nothing to do with what the auditors do in our community. The auditors are mandated by statute to take care of the business as they see fit. So there's no issue here, as Mr. Herron is suggesting. So we'll let's see. We need to vote on the appointment the appointment of the task force of Veranda and me to conduct those interviews. All right, Tara, are you willing to approve of that?
Yes.
All right, Chip?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Veranda?
Aye.
And John says aye. Okay, thank you, folks. We're going to go on now to new business. Thank you, Dan, for sitting. We are going to go on to the Slate Rock Road Culvert project, which is yet another one of the asset management program plan activities. And that, what we're going to be talking about here this evening is a potential acceptance of 2 grants, as I understand it, in order to work on this project, not complete it necessarily, but to work on this project, to fund this project. Mm-hmm. Am I saying it correctly?
Yes.
Okay, so there are 2 grants that we'll be looking at. All of these will be, both of these we'll ask Erica and Dan to talk us through, but we're working from another one of these project worksheets that will help us track everything the way it needs to.
I was just trying to decide which screen to share, and I decided on this one.
Okay.
So this is the project. This is a piece of Slate Rock Road that washes out constantly, because there's a large culvert there that is always washing out. Sorry. Unless we don't
Can
even.
I speak
You
to
want
that?
to
John?
go to the red to stop sharing theirs. What is that?
Okay.
Okay.
Try it again, sorry.
I want to have just Dan talk about it.
Yeah, just.
Yeah, just to help you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Once you find the picture.
Yeah.
Well, what it is, we have a number of years ago, they did not put bridges in. They got these old boiler tubes on this particular spot. Ever since I've been with the town, it has washed out at least 3 times. In December, it was very close to going over the top again. It was swirling. So I had the state come in and do a hydraulic study on it. I don't have it with me. I don't know if Erica's got it, but they usually come in and they do a water figure on what size culvert over a bridge. So what's happening, it's an undersized old boiler tube. And it keeps washing out, and it's one of them, it's on a one lane road. It's only one way in and out. One of the biggest thing is you can't close the traffic down to it because there's only one way in and out. And it's gonna have to be a temporary put in. And that will make the cost a little bit more. But then today I got to thinking that we have the old Hamilton Road. It used to be an old trail. It goes from Hamilton Road over to East Mountain Road. I'd have to go look and see if that would, talk to the neighbors, see if they have any problem of diverting traffic out that way, and just for the people to go in and out so they'll have fire protection and so it make it a lot easier than, I mean, that right there is not the culvert, but I mean, this is a big, it's right by Kenny Whitworth's. That's around the corner. When that thing washes out, that's what it does.
That's a mess.
Yep, over the years, it's, like I said, there it is right there. It's undersized. I'd like to see it. We applied for 2 grants, and our matching portion of that would be, I think it's what, 10%, Erica?
Yeah, there's 2 grants, one
Right.
with a $90,000 match and the other with a 10% match.
Yeah.
The other one is a $200,000 structures grant, and that has a 10% match.
So altogether, $110,000.
Roughly. I mean, it all depends on what they
Yeah.
recommend and what, if we could find another way for not put the temporary in, that would be a lot cheaper. I mean, the last bridge that they'll probably recommend either a concrete box, they want everything with natural bottoms in them. The other one, the last one we did was a multi-plate on Tater Lane, and that's galvanized, bolted together with a natural bottom. And that we closed the road down for, it was like 2 weeks, and they had it all completed, so. But that would be probably one of their recommendations would be to do a multi-plate. But the biggest thing is putting a temporary in. And then you gotta hope for you don't have bad weather where you lose it.
Where you lose the temper, yeah.
Yeah.
So one aspect of this that I've understood is that while we have these grants and they are for a certain amount, so the matches that you're talking about are if we were to spend the maximum amount of dollars.
Yes.
But in fact, they're reimbursable grants, and so we would only achieve the amount of money that we spent on it. We would only get that in the form of a grant, meaning our match would go down if we
Right.
spent less than
And
the full amount.
like I read you earlier, on our bridge, that's why we put in $60,000 a year. When we have a project like that,
Right.
we have that money to go towards the project when you need it.
Right, so yes, exactly. So, okay, so Select Board, that, you understand that
Yeah.
there are these 2 grants, and there's a chance if we were to go to full maximum of the grant, that we would be matching those to $110,000,
Right.
which is about 20% of our current bridge fund. So that's what the money's there for, it's what it's meant to be used for. In
And
fact,
that-
it might not be that much.
And that project is, the grants are for 2 years. So if it doesn't get done,
It will
you know,
span over, it will be
Right.
more than.
I mean, you got,
Yeah.
you know, you have engineering, you know, one of the grants we applied for is to go to engineering for the structure. The others, easements, whatever, it'd be the same. Then the construction of the project, so.
So it sounds like a big introductory project for whoever's coming after you.
We have, them boiler tubes like that, we got maybe, right off the top of my head, we probably have over a dozen. that are like that. And that's what they used years ago when they were building the roads. I mean, when they built all these roads, they weren't expecting all this traffic. You know, it was stagecoach, one lane, old Model A's or whatever.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it's a project I'd like to see get done. I mean, we've lost it. I mean, a couple times before, and we get right down here and get it fixed. And, you know, you gotta take pictures of everything. But over the years, I've known that's been washed out 3 times.
And we've been expecting this to be coming, at least I've been hearing about it a lot, so.
And like I said, back in December, it was very, very close. I mean, it was almost ready to start running down the roads.
I see.
All right.
So, are there any questions here? Let's take off this, so here's the project sheet. Let's just want to see Tara. Any questions, at the select board level about this? So basically what we'll be doing is, well, I'll just make a motion.
Yeah.
Why don't we just make a motion to accept these 2 grants with their matches as described.
I think Steve's got to say.
All right.
I'll second it to get it in
All right,
play.
thank you. All right.
Quick question, is the trail suitable for detouring traffic now?
I haven't been down through there in years, Steve. I'd have to take a ride down and see what it's
So there
like.
might be.
I mean, I don't know,
Yeah.
I haven't been it because it's, you know, we don't travel that, it's just a trail.
Right.
So as I understand it, the current project, as it's described right now, is presuming a diversion of traffic with a temporary
Right,
situation.
the temporary is what's gonna add the cost.
So the Hamilton potential could lower the cost.
Right.
If it were even
If it
feasible.
was, you know, fixed up so people can get up and down, you know, get through.
So the temporary is in place of using the trail.
If we can't use the
Right,
trail.
you can't use the
right.
trail, so, okay, so you.
And then, of course, the fire department or something like that,
Got it.
they have a big pond up there. Usually I just tell Jared, hey, look at, you know, we need they usually take a truck up there, so they got water, there is a water source there.
Okay.
So,
Could I
Okay.
ask a
Is there?
question of Dan, probably? You have, like subbed out, MT3. Would it be quicker to have someone sub out something like this?
It would be something out, we wouldn't do it, it'd go on,
Oh, yeah.
it'd have to go to bid,
And it would still take
yes.
2 weeks, yeah.
Or whatever, how long,
Or,
yeah.
yeah.
That would have to go, cause it's state money,
Uh-huh,
it has to go to bid.
uh-huh,
That's like when we did these projects up here,
yeah.
that went to bid, it was people.
And so the town
No.
can't do that when it's state money?
No, it'll go out to bid.
Yep.
All right, is there any other comment? All right, so the motion is to accept these 2, for the town of Guilford to accept these 2 grants with their accordant matches. Tara, are you in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chip, Michael?
Aye.
Veranda?
Aye.
I am too. Zon says aye, so thank you, that passes. All right, the next item on the agenda is for the, is another asset management
Thanks,
project.
Dan.
Thanks,
Dan,
Dan.
thanks very much. Another asset management program project, and that's the Historical Society Museum Exterior Painting and Repair Project. This has been we've known about this again for some time, but
Yes.
now there's a process that we can enter into. So Erica, do you want to explain this real quick?
Yes, so I'm here to ask the select board's approval to just start the process by putting out an RFP, or even, it might look like just getting quotes. I'm not 100% sure. I'll start with the RFP, and then if I don't get a lot of responses that I'm looking for, then I'll just call around and get at least one quote so I know what we're talking about. The job is to to scrape and paint the exterior of the museum. And there's some carpentry work that needs to be done too, some repairs, some window sills and some clapboards, and crown moldings and some flashings over the crown moldings. There's just a little bit of rot and needs painted, and I have gotten quotes on the internet between $5,000 and $45,000. So I need to talk to some real people and find out what they would want to do this job.
Oh, that's great.
So I would make a motion that we authorize Erica to begin that process to get this project completed.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Tara.
Yeah, it's a delayed maintenance project. I mean, we've had it in the ozone for a really long time, and it's great that it's getting dealt with now.
Yeah, I'm glad to see it happening too. All right, is there any discussion in the community? All right, Doris?
That's why I'm here.
Yeah, you're present.
I'm here to suggest that when it is, I'll just say, I had put in bids for doing the library before, and when I went down there, they're like, oh, you paint this, like, what kind of paint, who, you know, how many coats, what do you know, any of that, and it was like, oh, so everybody wasn't bidding on the same thing.
No.
And so I would strongly suggest that you have a set of criteria so that everybody is bidding on the same thing.
Good.
The use of
Yes.
paint, primer, and everything that needs to be done should be
Very good
specified.
point. Sounds perfectly reasonable.
And so how would that get put together? I mean, would it need to be somebody's expertise about, you know, just saying what all the necessary steps would be so that everybody could bid on the same job?
I actually did speak to somebody about it. I talked to Mitch Momini, who gave me a lot of really great things that should be done, but he doesn't want to do the job himself because it's lead paint, so.
It's lead paint that's on there now, and so the scraping would be,
It would have to be somebody lead certified, I think, I don't know.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah.
Well,
And
that was
Laura,
the
do you
same
think that's
thing with the, yeah, well, it's been painted several times since, I mean, with latex on it. I guess it depends, you probably have to test it. But the same thing happened with the library. And we got somebody in there because they were lead certified, but they didn't do the lead, the whole,
They didn't scrape
it's, it's quite a process. You're
Yeah.
supposed to like totally encapsulate your building and then you can throw everything in the trash and put it alongside the road. But there's way,
In the
you know, there's
stream.
certain ways, there's certain things that have to be done.
Mm-hmm.
If you're lead certified and you're charging because you're lead certified, where when they did the library, they got it because they were lead certified, but all that was, that little stand back yellow tape was put up. And when I said something, Katie Buckley was here, she's like, well, I don't know. And if you know, you should have said something. But I feel like whoever is in charge of getting the bids, it should know that.
Very good.
Should I just go test it with one of those little?
Well, not necessarily the
It
lead, but
does.
you should know the policy behind if somebody has to be lead certified, that they're following the
protocol.
the protocol
Do they
to
have
do
to be
it.
lead certified if there's many layers of latex?
Yes.
Is that true, Tara?
Yeah, so to answer Dolores's question, anyone that gives an estimate really needs to spell out exactly what they're going to do. How many hours, how many gallons of paint, what kind of paint. And it is an old building, so it's most definitely lead, and you can also tell by the way it cracks. So we definitely need someone who's lead certified, which is just smart anyway. I would recommend just reaching out to Tim Dandria because he can answer any questions that you have. He's also incredibly thorough and very thorough with his estimates. But since we're putting out to bid, you're going to have to get 3 I'm assuming 3 estimates. So then when we look at the estimates, we'll be able to say, hey, so-and-so didn't write up the estimate like the other person. And then we'll have to decide if we want to reach out to them and ask them questions about it or just go with what makes sense.
I'd be happy to work with you.
Excellent.
In my other life, I'd get involved with this a little bit.
Oh, great. Yeah, so I have some basic
That'd be great.
information that Mitch gave me, but
Sure.
I'm just realizing that I need more
Great.
concrete.
And we probably can't get anyone to do it until this fall or next spring.
Yep. They're all very busy.
I mean, are you essentially trying to formulate an RFP or, oh yeah, I mean, I'm happy to review it
Yeah, I mean, I would love to.
before you send it out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to do it. I might just call someone and ask for a quote based on what I've compiled, just to see. But yes, I think RFP, I think that's it. This should be that.
They'll want to come they'll want to do a site visit. I would
Yeah.
assume.
Yeah,
So,
but I do have a list of criteria already.
and then the dimension, if you have the dimensions of the building when asking.
Yep, I do.
All right, are we ready to vote on this? So I'm willing to authorize Tara, are you willing to authorize Erica to do this work?
Aye.
Chip, Michael, Veranda,
Aye.
and Zan says aye. Okay, thank you. All right, now we're moving on, folks. Thank you. We're enduring here. Guilford, the LEMP program, and I think that Dan is here. So hi, Dan. We'd like to hear from you about this, please.
Good evening. So every year, the local emergency management plan needs to be put together and updated. So last year was quite the effort. It got us into the 21st century and then some, and but updated it for this year. And I did send it to all the select board and also had Steve Lemke look at it for so that it was coordinated with the Wyndham Regional Commission and the local hazard plan. Got some comments back. Thank you, Chip. You had some comments also with it.
Thanks.
But it's already been reviewed. It's ready to go and be the final, but I just need a motion and approval that it is so.
I'll make that motion.
All right, what would you say?
That it's been, that we approve the LEMP plan
All right, for submission.
for submission.
Yep, all right. So I'll second that. Is there any discussion, select board?
No, it was good. It was really thorough.
Yeah. All right, any in the community, anything anybody wants to offer? Okay. All right, Tara?
Aye.
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 Chip, aye. Michael?
Aye.
And Zon says aye. Okay, thank you very much. Then we move on to the Wyndham Solid Waste Management District Representative appointment. So we have, this is one of the services that Guilford is a member with many other communities to deal with solid waste. And we need a representative at this moment, and we have one who stepped up with that. And that is Hannah Tustin has offered to serve as our representative to the Wyndham Solid Waste Management District. So I would make a motion that we appoint the select board. It's our job to appoint all of these at a regular meeting. This one wasn't at the first meeting after the town meeting, and this one was not in place at that time. So here we are needing to approve or appoint that representative. So I would
so move.
all right, thank you, Miranda. I will second it. Is there any discussion? All right. Tara?
I've just always been interested in trying to coordinate town-wide recycling or composting. And I'd like to be able to talk to whoever we appoint, Hannah, about that, and maybe even try to get a grant or use that $1,700.
Yeah, okay, it's a good idea. All right. So let's get her appointed so you have somebody to talk to, okay?
Yes, okay.
All right. All right, so you just said aye, I think?
Aye.
All right, Chip.
Aye.
Michael.
Aye.
Veranda.
Aye.
And Son says aye. All right, thank you very much.
Yes, and
Good night,
thanks
Steve.
to Hannah for
Thanks, Steve.
stepping up.
Thank you,
Good
Hannah,
night,
for
Stephen.
stepping up in this way. Appreciate it very much. All right, now on the agenda is the potential cancellation of the May 29th Select Board meeting. It's not necessary. We would normally have a meeting on May 27th. That's Monday night, but that is Memorial Day. So the meeting automatically gets moved to Wednesday, the 29th. And there was a suggestion that perhaps we could cancel that meeting at that time of year. There is one consideration that we might need to, that it makes Ellie's work more complicated because it means the select board will not have approved warrants for about a month. And the last time we did that, it actually meant that there were some late fees that we were charged. So perhaps rather than canceling, another option would be to hold the meeting on May 29th, but plan to severely limit the agenda to simply passing the warrants.
That sounds fine to me.
Yeah. Are there-
Yeah, that sounds
Sure.
good. It's Memorial Day weekend.
Sounds agreeable.
And so we need to, it will all be, those of us who can attend will be physically here, or a quorum of us will be here to sign the warrants.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
approve
Sounds
that.
good.
Yeah. So, okay, so then, are you comfortable with that, Tara? You okay?
Yes.
Okay, so there's no action then that needs to take place because we're not doing anything, we're not undoing the meeting, we're just gonna go ahead and have it. I'll just say right now that I won't be at the meeting, I can't be at the meeting that night, but that doesn't mean that, of course, it can go ahead.
On Wednesday, the 29th.
On Wednesday, the 29th, yeah.
Well, you will be missed.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the appointment of a Finance Advisory Committee Select Board Liaison. And each of the committees, each of the commissions and the committees that we appoint generally has a liaison to them, even our various task forces. So we can stay in touch with the Select Board. And Tara has agreed to serve as liaison to the Finance Advisory Committee. So,
Awesome.
we need to just, as a select board, appoint her and make sure that they know of that, so.
I so move.
Yeah, great idea.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, thanks, Chip. Any discussion, Tara?
Nope. I just need a general idea. You said it meets quarterly, so I
Yeah,
much notice as possible.
It's
yeah,
actually is meeting tomorrow.
yeah.
Tomorrow at 9.
We're not expecting you tomorrow at 9, and I alerted Sheila to that fact, that if you were gonna get appointed at all, it wouldn't be until tonight, so.
Okay. All right. I appreciate that.
Yeah, so, all right, so, all right.
And then, I'm gonna follow up. So then it's quarterly.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're kind of getting their legs back under themselves. They didn't meet
Okay.
at all during COVID, during the pandemic.
Okay.
So they're just they're just getting that back in order.
Okay.
And I think that they put out an agenda for tomorrow. And so, yes, I think the expectation is quarterly.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll put you in touch. If we elect you, I'll put you in touch. Are you in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Chip.
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Miranda?
Aye.
And Zan says aye. Thanks very much. Okay, is there, we're done with the business portion of the meeting.
Oh, my goodness.
In an updated form of our meeting, it might be that we would at this point offer comments from the community.
Sounds good.
Is there any other, I don't believe there's any other business to come before the select board. And there's no correspondence. The one piece of correspondence we did receive was read to us this evening by Ann Ryder. We do have a copy of that if anybody wants to see it, I think. And then bear with me as I list our actions from the previous meeting. We approved the minutes, we approved the warrants, we approved a letter of intent
Good night.
for the MRGP. We voted to go into and out of executive session. There was no action taken. This evening, our actions were to approve the minutes, to approve the warrants, to authorize Erica to continue work on the radar signs purchase, that we appointed an advisory committee for the Wyndham County Sheriff's Services contract. We
Appointed an auditor task force.
Oh, yes, we appointed the auditor task force, thank you, of Zahn and Veranda for interviews. We accepted 2 grants with their appropriate matches for the Slate Rock Road Culvert project. We authorized Erica to move forward with the project of the Historical Society Museum exterior painting and repair. We approved the Guilford Local Emergency Management Plan for submission. We appointed Hannah Tustin as the Wyndham Solid Waste Management District Representative, and we appointed Tara as liaison to the Finance Advisory Committee. All right, I think that's what we did tonight. Is there any other action anyone would like to take at this point? I would entertain a motion to.
I would like to entertain adjournment.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Thank you all very kindly. So Tara, are you in favor of that?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Chip?
Aye.
All right, Michael. And then we have Veranda.
Aye.
And Zahn says aye. Thank you very
Hurrah.
much. And thank you all. We'll see you
Good meeting.
again
Very good.
at our next meeting.